What is up, everybody? I'm hoping you're all well and welcome back to another episode of Film Friday, a series in which I use my handy little My Movies app, give it a little shake, and it'll select a movie at random from my collection to watch and review for you guys. So now with the app open, let's give it a little shake and see what the app has for me. Of course. Okay, let's do this movie. Drive Angry. So Drive Angry stars Nicolas Cage as Milton, a man who has escaped from hell after hearing about the brutal murder of his daughter at the hands of a cult. This cult, led by Jonah King, played by Billy Burke, who has now kidnapped his baby granddaughter in the plans of sacrificing her to appease the Lord Satan and become all-powerful and release hell on earth. Joining him on this mission is car junkie Piper, played by Amber Heard, and he is also being hunted by the accountant, played by William Fichtner. And where to start with this movie? Like most Nicolas Cage movies nowadays, it can either be insanely over the top and incredible in that way, or insanely over the top and terrible, but in a sort of so bad it's good sort of way. And I have to say this movie more fits towards the latter rather than the former, because while this movie isn't necessarily great, it is one hell of a good time. I enjoy this movie so much for how cheesy and over the top it is. I mean, the premise itself isn't actually too bad. A man returns from hell to avenge the death of his daughter and rescue his granddaughter from a cult. But the actual script itself and the dialogue isn't necessarily all that well woven together. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of very cheesy, over the top moments in this film that are genuinely hilarious when you see them, but there are also a lot of things in this movie that don't make sense. There's a lot of moments of dialogue that are really cheesy to the point where it's really ridiculous and unbelievable. But I think the fact that the main cast all really soak in every little bit of this script and really ham it up throughout the entire runtime of this movie is what makes this movie a little more enjoyable than some of the other movies that are considered terrible. Like Nicolas Cage in this movie, as you'd expect, is Nicolas Cage. He plays Nicolas Cage, being Nicolas Cage and doing Nicolas Cage things. But because I'm a fan of Nicolas Cage and his very over the top and overacted antics, I can't help but love the character, and the character itself isn't all that bad. He's a very well-rounded character, he's very well fleshed out, his motivation is clear from start to finish. And to be honest, yeah, I did find myself rooting for this character towards the end. I wanted to see him save his granddaughter's life, even if it meant after he'd done that, he went back to hell. Amber Heard in this movie also gives a really good performance. She's a very strong character, very badass. She does kick a lot of ass in this film. She's not one of those characters that is just constantly caught by the bad guys, and it's just there as a plot device for Milton to save her every time. She's got a very strong screen presence about her, and I think she gave a very good performance in this film. Then you've got William Fichtner as the accountant, who is without a doubt my favourite character of this entire movie. He's so suave, he's so cool, he's sophisticated. He is literally the coolest character in this entire movie. Probably even the coolest character for someone who works for the devil hunting someone else down in any sort of movie. The guy just really soaks up the material that he has been given. He really goes for it in this film, and he's one of the most entertaining aspects of it. William Fichtner, in my opinion, is a very underrated actor, and this movie is proof that he is a fantastic actor. No matter what you give him, he will give a fantastic performance. Much like Billy Burke in this movie, who I think is another very underrated actor. Again, I think he's fantastic. In this movie though, the villain that he is playing isn't a very well-rounded villain. His motivations are very generic for a cult leader villain, as you'd expect from any sort of movie like that, but he does seem to soak up the material again, much like William Fichtner does. He gives a very hammy and very cheesy performance, which does add to a lot of entertainment for this film. However, there are a lot of times in this movie where he says a couple of things and it comes off very cringy. Like I said, not all the hammy, cheesy dialogue in this movie is hilarious. There are a lot of times when it is very cringeworthy. There's a lot of lines of dialogue in this movie that don't come off very natural. It is clearly actors reading off of the script and saying the lines that they need to say, because there are a lot of lines in this movie that are said at certain times where you think, maybe you shouldn't have said that at that point, or maybe that doesn't make any sense at that moment in time. But when done right and when really hammed up to the right point and happens at the right moment, it is very funny to see. Like I said, there are a lot of very funny moments in this movie, maybe not necessarily in the way that the filmmakers wanted it to be. However, there are a lot of very comedic moments in this film as well. This movie isn't meant to be taken seriously, and one scene that really shows that is when Nicolas Cage goes around killing a bunch of people while having sex with a waitress. I mean, he literally kills a bunch of people while fucking someone, and it's hilarious, especially considering that you see her afterwards and her line of dialogue is, "We were fucking. He killed them while we were fucking." Oh, beautiful. That scene alone is enough to let you know what tone the movie is going for, and it does keep that consistent tone throughout its entire runtime. And because it doesn't take itself too seriously throughout the entire runtime of the film, it can be very enjoyable. There are a few moments that do take itself seriously, especially in the more character-driven moments as to why Milton's doing what he's doing, the past about his daughter and his granddaughter and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is done in a very serious way, which does contradict the tone of the film, but it is necessary when it comes to fleshing out Milton's character and obviously making you understand his motivations as to why he's doing what he's doing. And so in that, I can't really fault the movie for that all too much. The CGI in this this movie as well is absolutely ridiculous. I adore CGI in this film because it's very cartoonish, and again, in that way, it fits the tone of the film perfectly. If a movie really did take itself seriously but still kept the shoddy CGI effects that it's got going throughout the entire runtime, it is enough to take you out of that experience. But because it is a very cheesy, over the top, and just alright ridiculous movie, it is enough to make it more enjoyable. My biggest flaw with this movie though, like I said, it's not a great film, it's just one of those enjoyable guilty pleasure films that you can just throw on because there are a lot of things in this movie that don't make sense. But my biggest flaw with this movie is purely the editing. I think the editing is very shoddy in this film, it's very quick cut and random at points. Especially for more action heavy scenes, it becomes very jarring at times, and there are moments as well where someone is just being hit by something, and it does about 5 different cuts as to that person being hit by one thing. But overall though guys, if you know what movie you're getting in for, that being a very dumb, over the top action flick, I can say that this movie can be very enjoyable. Like I said, the main cast really do soak up the material they've been given, while the rest of the cast aren't exactly terrible, they're not exactly great either. There's no other really memorable performance of them, the main lead actors in this film, and David Morse does make a small appearance. But they all seem to know what they're getting in for, they all seem to know the hammy, cheesy, over-the-top tone that the movie's going for, and so in that they do soak it up and they do make it very entertaining in their performances. Like I said, William Fichtner, absolutely one of the highlights of this movie. I would love to see a movie that just focuses on this particular character of the accountant with him, because I love the character. I think the character is really well rounded. I think it's a really cool concept for a character, and yeah, I think a movie should be made about him. So any movie executives watching this video, the accountant movie with William Fichtner, but not the accountant like Ben Affleck's the accountant who works for the devil and hunts people down who escape hell, that's a good movie. Well, the concept at least is really cool, but you've got to get William Fichtner back for the role because he's just amazing in this film. But yeah, like I said, good performances by the lead actors, a very dumb, over-the-top action film that if you're just looking to sit down, watch a film, eat popcorn, you know, have it on in the background, whatever, it's a very enjoyable film for those sort of things. So yeah, like I said, the actors all do a pretty good job performance-wise in this movie. It's a very over-the-top, dumb action flick, so if that's what you're looking for and you enjoy those sorts of films, I definitely recommend checking this movie out. It is an enjoyable time. While not a great movie and it does have a lot of flaws, there are some very enjoyable moments in this film. There are some very comedic moments as well, some that are genuinely intentional, but some that are also not possibly what the filmmakers were going for. And so for all those reasons, I'm going to give Drive Angry 3 stars. So, Drive Angry, have you guys seen it all? What were your thoughts on it? Whatever your thoughts were, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share the video with friends, and if you want to see more videos just like this one, then subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks again for watching, you guys are awesome, and I will see you all in the next video.